Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Car Lot, the only automotive podcast in the Puget Sound area, far as I know. I am your host, Jake Weidenbach. My co-host could not be with us today. He's working on big things for Northwest Motorsport. Collin, we'll miss you, buddy. I'm really excited about the guest I have here today. One of my mentors in the car business, someone I have a ton of respect for and quite a bit of history with, Mr. Clint Springer.
Thank you, Jake. It's nice to be up here, and especially be able to be up here with you. So thank you.
Clint is joining us from the beautiful state of Oregon, a place I have very fond memories of. That's where we met at Bend Honda.
That's right. I was
Bend,
actually
Oregon.
just there yesterday.
I love Bend. Awesome lifestyle there. 4 years of my life that just I have nothing but awesome memories about.
Yeah, Ben's it's a great town. Obviously, lived there probably 6-7 years, but after being away and realizing how long the winters are, I think it's just a good place to visit.
Yeah, the last winter I went through there was pretty brutal.
Right. A lot of shoveling.
I think we had like 67 days straight where it never got above freezing.
Right.
And I know I shoveled more snow that winter than I had in all the winters prior in my entire life.
But the summers are great.
Yeah.
That's what makes you survive the winters.
Yeah. So you've been in the auto industry pretty much your whole adult life, right?
Yeah, I think probably my entire life. Yeah.
So growing up as a kid, your family had dealerships?
Yep, started with my grandpa. I don't know what year my grandpa got in the business, but I still carry his business cards with me, actually, saying, new car manager, owner. So it's kind of a cool thing that I do, I guess. But yeah, my grandpa owned a Ford dealership in Portland, Oregon. Actually, it's a Toyota dealership now.
Okay.
Down there, I think it's on Broadway. It's real close to downtown Portland. And my dad started working there when he was, in high school, and did all sorts of different positions within that dealership. And then I don't know what year, probably his early 80s, I guess it probably was, 84, 85. So it was in the mid-80s. My dad and my grandpa purchased a Ford dealership in Hood River, Oregon. So my grandpa left the Portland store, and they went and opened up a spot in Hood River. So
that's an awesome town.
Yeah.
I've spent a couple weekends there and done a couple little motorcycle adventures to Hood River.
Yeah, there's a lot of great places for that, for sure. So I literally grew up on a car lot. I tell people that all the time, and it's because our house was literally, 20 feet from the dealership.
On the property.
On the property, so there was no excuse for Dad being late to coming home. But he was always there, so it was nice to be able to be that close. And we actually had 2 locations. One up on the Heights is what they called it, and then the service department was downtown. So, it's kind of funny thinking about it now, being older and thinking about some of the things that my brother and I have an older brother, and that we were doing in that dealership, and then my dad would actually let us do it. We'd figure out how the paging system works, and we'd start paging each other through the dealership, running through the service department, grabbing the technicians' creepers and going through on the floor. So yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah.
So you kind of worked your way up, just like a lot kid first?
Yeah, actually, after that, after they sold the dealership, moved back to Portland area, and my first go around was in high school. Kind of like every kid starts off as a lot attendant. So washing cars, going and getting lunch for the managers, and basically just doing whatever. And I thought it was big stuff, making $4 an hour.
$4 an hour?
$4 an hour. And I actually I call it a promotion. I took a promotion to the parts department because it was paying $5 an hour. And I'm thinking, do you know what I can do with $5 an hour? So that's why I did it. But then I quickly got out of the parts department.
Okay.
So, yeah.
And then what was the next step? Sales?
Yeah, sales was after graduated high school, still 17. And that summer, started selling cars at a Nissan dealership, actually. And funny enough, I drove past that dealership today. And so it's kind of funny going down that road on McLaughlin Boulevard and looking over and seeing how much time you spent down there. But yes, selling cars was the first thing. And it was at a pretty high volume store with Thomason Auto Group. And and just kind of did a little bit of everything. Most of my career, though, has been in sales at some point of sales. So
That's awesome. Well, when I met you at Bend Honda, you were the floor manager slash sales trainer,
yeah,
and you know, you offered a lot of great guidance to me. We weren't always on the same page. I know I can be stubborn and difficult.
we were in the same book though.
But you're like A to Z, one of the most sales fundamentally sound salespeople that I've ever met. I think you set a great example for salespeople to follow. Just like doing it the right way. Good ethical business. You got word tracks that I say. People I work with, they think that's like my line, but
You can own it.
I say quite a few of the things you used to say. And actually, I remember one day in particular. It was like the last day of the month, and I'm trying to save my month in the final hours. I'm half a car away from a bonus level, and I get a customer that's trying to score the deal of the century
Of course.
on the last day of the month, and
They usually get it.
the desk didn't want to take a massive loser for me to hit my bonus level. I probably wouldn't have taken the deal either if I was a sales manager.
Right.
It was a big loss, but I remember being sizzled. Just that I missed my bonus by half a car, and that the desk didn't want to hook me up.
Yeah.
And I'm outside fuming about it a little bit, and you come up to me and basically say, "Hey, man, I know you're upset right now, but you didn't miss your bonus today. You missed it between the 10th and the 20th."
Yeah, I think I kind of remember saying that. It's one of those things that obviously somebody told me, and I'm a sports guy, kind of like you, and I think that's one of the things that I appreciate about the car business. You kind of relate a lot of things that we do in the car business to sports.
Yeah,
and we
absolutely.
don't. The average fan might say we lost the game in the last inning or the last play or the last out, whatever it is. But if you go back to the second or third inning, and we didn't advance that runner from second to third to give ourselves a situation to hit a sacrifice fly, that could have cost the game just as much as
Right.
rounding out to the second baseman.
Well, yeah. I mean, in football,
And-
if you want to get mad at the kicker for missing the field goal at the end of the game, there's plenty of times during that game where
Yeah.
you could have put yourself in a better position. You could have scored more points, or you could have made more stops on defense.
It doesn't mean that play wasn't important. Doesn't mean it didn't have the outcome of the it didn't play a part of the game. But it's not the only reason why you might have not sold or hit your bonus or might not have won the game. So
Yeah.
that was just something that I think somebody that along the way have told me, and honestly, it's probably my dad. You brought up the ethical thing, and that's one thing in our industry that it's getting. I would say 99% of the dealerships are ethical and do it the right way. I'm fortunate enough to be able to go to a lot of stores and be around a lot of people and worked in a lot of different stores, and most everybody tries to do it the right way, but some of them don't. But ethical reasons, that was passed down just like that. Most word tracks are not our own. Somebody else
Right.
gave them to us,
Absolutely.
and it's just a matter of if we retain it and use it and pass it on to the next person. So
I just remember thinking about that though. It's a tough pill to swallow in the moment, but I remember when I drove home that night, I was like breaking it down. I'm like, yeah, you know what? There's probably a lot I could have done different this month to not put myself in that position.
sure.
And I just ever since then I've viewed it differently. Rather than looking for someone to blame for why you didn't get to your goal or whatever, I pretty much take full blame for it now.
Well, that's good. That's good. I'm glad because now you're going to be able to give somebody that you work with, that same type of thing. And if everybody had that mindset, which, hopefully somebody in your stores will, that makes the whole store better.
Yeah, yeah. So, in the time you've been in the car biz,
Yeah.
What, 20 plus years? 20?
Yeah, probably somewhere around there.
You've seen a lot of change, right?
Yes, a lot.
What would you say is the biggest difference now versus then?
Well, probably there's a lot. I mean, there's a lot of differences. But I think probably one of the biggest things, and I was just having a conversation this last week about it with my dad actually and my wife, and newspaper ads. Everybody used to have $99 a month, and have it take a full page color ad out, and
Right.
and they'd bring that ad into the store and say, I want this stock number, and can you show me this vehicle? And they'd go out to it, and we'd find it. Now, nobody does that anymore, and everything's full disclosure. I remember doing deals and just telling somebody a payment. You can't get away with that anymore. Everybody wants all the information, and they should know all the information. It makes everybody's life a little bit easier. But I think, obviously, transitioning for the last, I don't know how many years now, but everything going online, and now you have stores selling, or at least attempting to sell cars completely online. Not everybody is on board with that yet, but I think the people that jump on it to begin with and will see actual results, because that's what people want. That's what people look for. People don't have time to spend all weekend bouncing around to 4 or 5, 6 different lots.
Right.
Everybody's life is going 100 miles an hour, and there's other things that they would rather be doing, even though most people buy cars because it's an emotional purchase for most people, and it's exciting and it's fun. However, I don't want to spend 3, 4, 5, 6 days doing it.
Right, absolutely. I think that's why I was so excited about the opportunity to do Joy Drive.
Yeah.
That's one of those things that I really view as, a game-changing concept in the auto industry. The people that I deliver to, the feedback I get from them, they're always super stoked about how much time it saved them, and just that 4 or 5 hour marathon at the dealership can really wear people out. And I know it gives a lot of people anxiety about buying a car.
Sure, even with all the information out there, and maybe that's part of the problem, is there's so much information that people are afraid to make a bad decision, or are they getting a good deal, or whatever it is. But I came up and visited you probably a few months ago now, and actually got to stop in at your location and look at what you're doing. And I was thinking about that on the way up here, is probably the thing that makes you successful in that department, and you guys have bought into it. You're doing it. You don't have 1 foot in and 1 foot out.
Right.
You're all in. And I think majority of the dealerships that I've been around, they're kind of, well, yeah, we have an internet manager. Okay, what's he do?
Right.
And oh yeah, we can do that. Or they don't get back to a customer for a few days. So they're in that internet selling, if you will, because they think they're supposed to, but they're not really completely bought into it. So it's
absolutely.
There's no point in it. It's just, you guys are actually dove in. You have people doing it, and that's all you do. You're delivering cars. You're buying it online. You're giving them a guarantee. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Right, they get that 5-day return policy.
That's a huge thing. Why people wouldn't necessarily want to buy a car online, but you give them an opportunity to try it, and anymore, I don't think people necessarily need to test drive vehicles almost. I don't personally, I don't necessarily need to, if I'm looking at a fairly new car, I don't need to necessarily drive it.
And Joy Drive's not just pre-owned, it's, new car dealers participate in it too. To me, it's a no-brainer with a new car.
New car,
I would absolutely buy a brand new car that way.
Sure.
But yeah, man, I got into the car business in 2007, and that was also the year that the iPhone came out.
Wow.
So my whole car career,
Sure.
people have had infinite information at their fingertips. And I've just seen, people come in pretty informed, and I've never tried to or at least I don't like being BS'd, and I'm pretty good at picking up on when someone's BSing me. So I've just always tried to be the guy that I'd want to buy a car from, just honest, polite, informative, and that's always served me pretty well. But when I got to Northwest Motorsport and saw how competitive it was, I was like, oh my God, that's not going to be enough here.
Yeah.
So I just remember at Bend Honda, a couple times you said to me, why don't you make car videos? Why don't you video you doing a presentation on a car?
Yeah.
Or like, why don't you get out and like network yourself a little bit, do some branding out in the community? And I was like, yeah, and it never happened.
Yeah, and that's a easy thing to say. It's a hard thing to do. I
Yeah,
mean, and you start to see it now where you have salespeople at probably their manager saying, "Hey, you need to go do this. Go do it."
right,
And so they're again kind of halfway doing it, and you can tell. They don't necessarily they get on. And I don't mean to be. This is more of a pointing out how well you are doing and how impressed I am by even this and the videos that you do and the content that you bring to your website and your Facebook page, because you see salespeople now they're doing it. They're putting videos out there because they know that's the way it's going.
right,
The
right.
the old days when you put in a newsletter, and I did it. You handwrite a newsletter, or you do it on a computer, and you put it in the mail, and they get it and they throw it away. Those type of things. But you're doing it now. The next wave of marketing yourself is online and Facebook and podcasts like what we're doing here. I mean, I think you're way ahead of 100% of the dealerships out there. So that's a huge thing, and that's a compliment to you for taking the lead, because this is where it's going. Whether the car guys now like it or not, this is the way it's going.
Yeah. Well, I just remember having a real panic moment because I've always done pretty well at the dealerships I've worked at, but the level of competition at Northwest Motorsport is really, really high, and there's some really skilled salespeople there, and I just had to do an honest assessment of myself. I'm like, I'm really knowledgeable, but as a salesperson, am I the strongest? No, not really.
Sure.
I'm about average.
Sure.
But I'm good at building trust with people, and I'm good at presenting a car. So I just kind of decided to start doing those things that you said I should have been doing all along.
Yeah.
And I've kind of gone all in with those, and that's been a little bit of a game changer for me. It's helped me stand out, and I really think that I think 5 to 10 years from now, the guy that is just counting on the phone to ring or meeting a stranger out on the lot, I think that guy's going to be looking for work.
Yeah, he's not going to be selling cars or in the car business. That's for sure.
I mean, there's going to be places for guys like that, but it's going to be a lot less.
Sure.
To be able to have that mentality and be successful, I think it's going to be a lot tougher.
Well, and to kind of piggyback a little bit, with what you're saying about a salesman, for instance, everybody wants to be a salesman. They're all the greatest salesperson in the world, right?
Yeah.
Especially in our industry, which that's good. Everybody should feel that way. I never thought I was the best salesperson. Did I ever lead the board in any sales? No, I never led the board anywhere I went, but I'm kind of like you. Is like, I feel like I earn people's trust pretty quick. I can get along with a lot of different type of people. And anymore, you can see it in dealerships now. They're not even hiring salespeople. They don't even want salespeople. They want product experts. They want people that know how to demonstrate vehicles, because there's so much technology on these cars. They don't selling cars, and trying to change or show them different vehicles. Most of the time, people are coming in, they know what they want.
Right.
And
They've
so they
been
want
on the internet for hours, and
they want somebody that the information they couldn't find online, they want somebody that's representing that product to be able to show them a little bit more or hands-on. And I think the person or the store that embraces that and the people that embrace that are the ones that are going to be able to succeed and take it to the next phase of what the industry is.
Yeah, absolutely. I kind of, there's been a decent amount of ridicule, that I've had to endure. Some guys have made fun of my little car videos and
Sure.
my little business network.
That means you're doing something right.
Stuff like that. But I believed in it, and I didn't have any results from it yet. But I knew if I stuck with it, it was going to lead to good things. And the business networking group that I decided to join, not only has it changed the trajectory of my car career, but just like my life in general, being around motivated entrepreneurial type people,
Sure.
It gets the gears turning in my head, and it's got me thinking in ways that I never did before. So.
Yeah, that's awesome, and that's great. I mean, and that's, again, it goes back to, I don't think anything that you didn't already know, but it's just a matter of doing it, and you're doing it, and you're involved in it. And I've seen your videos, and I've obviously, being friends, I've followed you for the last couple of years since you've been up here, and just seeing the things that you're doing and how you're putting yourself out there. It does take guts, because it is, you will have those people that, poke fun at it or try to downplay it, and because they're not doing it, even though they know they need to do it.
Yeah. Well,
but I commend you for actually putting yourself out there to do something like this.
And I know not everybody's gonna connect with this podcast or appreciate what it is, but this is the kind of stuff I really enjoy doing now.
Yeah.
I mean, being out, kind of being a brand ambassador for my company, and doing the networking and interviewing people and creating content. That's the stuff I really, really like doing. I mean, to be honest, I enjoy that more than selling cars.
Sure, of course, yeah, yeah. The selling the car part. I mean, there's don't get me wrong. There's fun things about it.
Oh yeah.
But
I mean, there's still
you have
plenty of excitement that I get, especially delivering these cars through Joy Drive. The joy that people express, just that they didn't have to blow
Sure.
their weekends or burn up their free time shopping and haggling over price and all that. So there's definitely excitement that I get from that.
And it's probably a relief also, with it being such a new concept, that it actually worked the way it said it was going to work.
Right.
It wasn't, oh, there you go, there's the catch, or there's the breakdown in the process. But and obviously I haven't purchased a vehicle through it, but a lot of people have. And so it's probably a good thing that you're delivering on what you're actually saying you're going to do, and you're actually delivering the car too, which is pretty cool.
Well, Northwest Motorsport was the first dealership in America to participate in Joy Drive. Now there's over 60.
Wow.
And I believe there's a big group of dealerships that are about to come aboard.
Interesting.
So, pretty exponential growth just in the time that I've been aboard. So I've been the Joy Drive rep for a year. There were 27 stores when I came aboard, and now we're at 62 or 63.
Wow.
So pretty exciting. Kind of feels like being part of something at the ground level.
Sure.
like being part of Starbucks or Microsoft when they were just
everybody thought it was crazy.
Yeah. So
And it'll be nationwide. It probably is nationwide, I imagine. Is it all over the place?
Almost nationwide. I mean, there's dealerships in Florida and Texas.
Okay. I'll call that nationwide.
Mostly West Coast, but
okay. Well, my Northwest Motorsports history goes further back than you.
That's right. You're a customer of Northwest Motorsport.
I'm a customer. So this is how well it is. I'm a car guy, right?
Right.
My family is still in the car business. My dad's a partner in a Subaru store up in Missoula, Montana. So, at the time, I'm in the car business, and I bought a truck. My wife and I bought a truck, drove all the way up here from, actually we were in Bend at the time, and we bought a Dodge Ram pickup. I probably drove the salesperson nuts because...
Well, and buy local is a big deal in Bend, Oregon.
Yeah,
so
well,
so you left Bend to come up here to Northwest Motorsport and buy a truck.
They didn't have the truck I wanted. So I had to go, and I got online, and that was another thing that... thinking about Northwest Motorsports is their website. Even at the time, years ago now, the one thing I appreciated about it, and it kind of, again, maybe a leader in it or however you want to look at it, is they actually posted great pictures, which is job one, right? Good description, and they actually had prices. It wasn't one of those situations. Now, they might have had a please call if it was a brand new inventory and they haven't ran through the shop and all that. But
right.
90% of their inventory had a price on it. So I didn't have to, I could scroll through 500,000 trucks and I could start filtering it out. So when I came up here, when we came up on a blue Dodge Ram, 3/4 ton. And when we got up here, it wasn't what I thought. It was a little bit too big. It had a good lift on it, but too big of a lift.
Okay.
And so I told the salesperson, I said, I'm buying a truck today, so just help me find it. And he took us to probably like 5 different locations. I could be wrong on the amount of the locations, and literally probably drove about 15, 20 trucks until we found the one. And even further, kind of a little bit further, I said, we love the truck. I don't like the tires and wheels. I said, can you swap those tires and wheels onto this truck, off of that truck? So he went and checked, and they did this swap right there.
Oh, right on.
And swapped the tires and wheels from one Dodge to the Dodge we bought. So it was a perfect fit.
Nice. That's awesome.
Yeah, it was really nice. It's really nice. And that truck, my nephew drives it. So we sold it to him, and so he's driving it. So it's kind of cool. Still around.
Right on, man.
Still running.
So you're not a sales manager anymore. You're now a rep for Permaplate.
Correct. Yeah. So Permaplate, we know Permaplate from Bend Honda days.
Yep.
And as a sealant company that we used at Bend Honda, and so I developed a relationship with Permaplate. I believed in it, and sold a whole bunch of it, and life changed a little bit about a year ago. So I had an opportunity. Thankfully, the regional manager, from him coming into the dealership, Moses, you probably remember Moses. He heard about a situation I was in and reached out to me and asked me how I was doing, and so we kind of chit-chatted a little bit. And he said, "Hey, I'm looking for a guy for Oregon and Washington. Basically, do you know anybody? Or keep your eyes out for somebody that you might think might be interested in the position." I said, "Hey, let's talk." And so that's how I ended up with Permaplate back in August.
Nice. So you got Oregon and Washington. Do you go
Correct.
into the stores and do the demonstration with the fire on the hood and all that?
Yep. Do the demonstrations. Get to do some sales training, some sales meetings. Work with finance managers, mostly finance managers, because they're the ones ultimately responsible for selling it, but also with the sales staff as well and the managers. So it's a lot of fun. I mean, I'm kind of a lone wolf. It's a little bit different than the dealership vibe where you have a team. And
Right.
I have a team. They're just all over the country and different states. But so I do have that support, but it's not the, shoulder to shoulder with somebody every single day. So I still get that fix with when I go into the stores. So it's just now with 40 different dealerships instead of one.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, I think that would be fun. Going store to store, giving presentations, and the Permaplate product is pretty awesome. So it's a coating that goes on the paint, and it protects the vehicle from pretty much any environmental conditions. Right?
That's
Sun
correct.
fading, anything corrosive to the paint,
Sap, bird droppings, hard water spots.
the de-icer that they put on the road.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah, absolutely. That's brutal. A lot of people don't believe it, but that is actual stuff that if it's taking ice off the road, and I mean it.
Yeah, it's
you can
highly
see it-
corrosive.
yeah, you can see it on the road. That's probably not good for your paint.
And then it also goes on the interior, right?
Correct.
So the dash and the seats and all that.
Any vinyl, any leather, any fabric, it's all protected. Minus like safety features like the seat belts and steering wheels.
And if there's a stain that you can't get out, then the seat gets replaced by Permaplate.
right, we'll attempt to fix it first, and then if we can't fix it, we'll replace it. So,
Nice.
Yeah, and that's on new vehicles and up to 3 model years old. It's 7 years of coverage, which is huge. It's longer than most people keep their vehicles. So, yeah, it's again, I wouldn't have left the position I was at, if I didn't believe in the product. Or
I was about to say that.
Yeah.
I know you wouldn't sell a product you don't believe in.
no,
So.
it would be almost impossible. I've sold Pontiacs before, so that was probably the only time I didn't necessarily believe in the product that I worked at. But thankfully, I had other manufacturers at the same time. But
Right.
that's a true story. I sold Pontiacs in Boise, Idaho. So it was that store's not there anymore. I don't think they don't even make Pontiacs anymore.
No, they discontinued
gone.
those, I think, in before 2010.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Anyway,
About
man.
10 years too late.
I think it's awesome that you came up here.
Thank you.
I really appreciate it. And, you're someone that has been a huge influence on my car career. Some of the best messages that you gave me, they didn't fully sink in at the moment, but they did later.
Sure.
And
As long as they did, that's what matters, right?
I mean, seriously, when I do a car video, when I'm watching one, before I decide to post it, I'm like, would Clint think this is good, or would he think this is garbage? And there's been a couple that I've just
That's funny.
delete. I'm not doing that.
Oh,
one.
come on now.
I'm not posting that one.
That's funny. I didn't
But,
know that. That's pretty cool.
No, for real.
Thanks.
I just remember I got a lot of content that I use in my car career from you. So really appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And, I'm glad you're doing well.
Thank you.
Glad you recovered from that terrible accident I heard you were in.
Yeah, that was
Won't get too deep into that, but
Yeah.
I remember calling you when I found out I was going to be the Joy Drive rep, and your wife answered the phone, and she was crying, and you had just been in a major accident, and I just remember, I didn't get all the details. She couldn't talk long, but I remember that being a really traumatic day. Like, there's only a few times in my adult life where I've teared up, and that was one.
Oh.
So,
well, I'm sorry that happened, but I'm thank you for feeling that way. But yeah, that was not a fun time, that's for sure.
no,
So,
she was telling me that they were cutting you out of your truck.
yeah, my truck didn't survive very good. It was pretty messed up. So thankfully, I was in a nice F-150. But yeah, if I was in, I truly believe if I was in anything else, I probably wouldn't be sitting here. And I barely made it through the F-150. So
Well, now you got some Wolverine metal grafted to your bones
I do.
now,
I
huh?
have a lot of it actually. Pretty cool scars, and so. But yeah.
Anyway, buddy, I really appreciate it. Thank you for being here, and
course.
Just thank you for what you've been to my car career.
You're welcome. Thank you.
The Car Lot.
Northwest Motorsport subscribes to a different approach when it comes to selling vehicles. Honesty, integrity, loyalty, and trust. Our sales staff offers top-tier customer service because the only thing more important than our vehicles are our customers. Our custom-lifted trucks are prepared by fully trained technicians. Each of our 1,500 vehicles are meticulously tested through a 43-point safety inspection. If you're in the market for a truck, car, or SUV, make sure Northwest Motorsport is your first and last stop.
Bone Nose Trucks. Ford, Toyota, GMC, Chevy, Dodge, you name it, Bone knows it. Four-wheel drive, lifted, and diesel trucks. Get yours at NWMSRocks.com. That's Northwest Motorsport. Shop NWMSRocks.com and get yours at Northwest Motorsport in Tri-Cities.